I see you guys knew I was coming. Thank you. Thank you so much for preparing for my arrival. I appreciate that. Thank you. Good job, Jeff. Good job. So familiar, Kurt? Tiny hands here. I love you, brother. Sizes and everything, really. I would like to thank the Burbank International Film Festival, Jeff, and everybody involved with setting this up. This is a great event, and I appreciate you inviting me to be here and honoring me with this Kurt. Thank you, in all honesty, for... No, seriously, thank you for showing my credits. I appreciate that. That's good. Gotta recycle everybody. No, Kurt, I want to say, congratulations on your role on Quarry. That's fantastic. You guys should check it out on Showtime. Kurt has a hidden disability, though, that he's not able to survive a series. Some people would kill him like 4 episodes. He never lasts the entire run of the show. They look at him and they go, I want that guy dead. So this is the Diversity Award. You guys doing over there, all right? It's okay? The Diversity Award, in all honesty, people don't really know what diversity is. You know, when we think about diversity, the go-to in our mind is race, gender, age, and even LGBTQ. But especially over the past year, the idea of diversity has excluded disabilities, and it started, you know, in the press with the Oscars So White campaign. The discussion that occurred around that was so much about race with regard to our industry, and so much about even age and gender and even LGBTQ. But people with disabilities were constantly left out of that discussion. Every broadcast, every article, every news program, every interview, every little blurb about this campaign and about the idea of diversity excluded people with disability, and it got me so riled up. I wrote to the New York Times, I wrote to the LA Times, I wrote to PBS, I tried to reach people that I knew at KPCC. I even went as far as the Canadian Broadcasting Company to try to talk to somebody about this idea of diversity that was exclusive of people with disabilities. And as Kurt pointed out, 20% of our population, and it's hard to sort of fathom that, 20% of our population is made up of people with disability, and yet where we are on screen is almost non-existent. And the only people that were really talking about it were people in our own community, people in the blogosphere, people like Kurt getting out publicly and having these kinds of events and bringing up statistics. But it just wasn't being addressed by the media. And so, studies started to happen. USC put out a study. I got to work with the Ruderman Family Foundation, their International Council on Disability. They put out a study that I got to work on with them. And then people hear this cry for this particular type of diversity that just includes what I had mentioned before. It doesn't include disability. And as a result of that, action gets taken. But that action is, again, because we've started this snowball effect, that action is exclusive of people with disability. And action builds passion, and from passion, we have policy that gets developed, and from passion comes legislation. And the Motion Picture Academy president vowed to change the face of the membership, but made no mention of disability. She spoke of all the other diversity groups, but made no mention of disability. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio's Office on Media Entertainment followed that lead and did the same thing and made no mention of disability. And as a result, legislation, as I said, gets formed. A tax incentive law that was in New York State was put forth by the Writers Guild of America East that said that they would reward with a tax incentive, money that comes back to the production company, if they hire diverse writers, but those writers excluded people with disability. And so I'm happy to say that with this furious action of each of these ideologies that disregard the true idea of inclusion, it has either changed their position, the furious action that has come about has either changed their position or halted it entirely. And so I'm hopeful, because many in our community have taken up the banner of true diversity and inclusion. That true diversity idea, which is inclusive of all groups, not just what's popular in the moment or what's being talked about, but all groups. And so when you see this happening, and you see ideas of diversity being talked about, I hope you'll interject and bring some light to the subject of what real inclusion is and what real diversity is. And it's evidenced, in my industry especially, it's evidence that direct exposure to people with disability changes attitudes towards the positive. Seeing people with disability on screen will have the same magnifying effect on our society that seeing people of color on screen did. That telling those stories about people of color, or telling stories about the LGBTQ community, as we saw in Will and Grace, we saw sort of a change over the course of that show about the way people looked at that particular group of people in a diverse way. Now, I've spoken to many people on the front lines in our community, and the feeling is that we are at the cusp of a revolutionary change in perceptions of people with disability. So I'd like to say to you, with each of them in my mind and in my heart, I accept this honor and thank you for the recognition that goes well beyond me. Thank you.
Danny Woodburn, everybody. Our next honoree.